avoiding this nutrition mindset. It's not about all the nutrients. It's about let's focus on real food, whole food, and keeping it truly, truly simple.
I don't daydream, I just do dreams. Built to fire, no camping. Imagine your next chapter. For uncommon paths, it's the roadmap. With special guests you can learn from, more valuable than a treasure chest. Unlocking knowledge, catch fire, turn impossible to a playground. Difficulties, we do them in like a pool table, got holes for 'em. Inspiration, catch fire, find your passion and live for it. Start bold, it gets harder, dig further. Inspiration, catch fire, find your passion and live for it.
Well, Theresa, thanks for joining us on the show this week.
You are welcome. Thanks for the invite.
We used to call you T-Money in college. I don't know if that nickname has stuck around into adulthood or not.
You know, I've tried to make it stick at my current company at Verta, and it has stuck with my boss. Well, my boss's boss, I like my grandpa boss, basically. He calls me T- a few different things, but I try to make T-Money stick from time to time. I've tried to make T-Pain stick, but no one else is really digging that. But yeah, he calls me T-Money a lot. So, you know, anything with a T really that's fun and silly, I think is fine.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are in Omaha, I believe, you and your family.
We are in Omaha, yes.
And you have a lovely family. We'll have to have Dave on sometime and talk about beer, one of everybody's favorite subjects.
Yeah, absolutely. When I told him about this podcast, he goes, well, what about someone who is a PR professional and is now a brewer? And I go, okay, I mean, yeah, I guess that could work.
He's in the line. Yeah,
Oh,
he's
good.
definitely
Oh,
in line. Yeah.
Good.
I think this show can be an equal opportunity offender too, right? I mean, like we have to offend, a lot of different people to be successful, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
A lot of times on this podcast, what we ask people to talk about is where they find themselves kind of in this serving lens, who they serve, how they serve, and what they need to serve. But also then we're really interested in folks that kind of have used all their background and all their training in a progression that many might kind of raise a little bit of eyebrow to, like, whoa, that's kind of a cool trajectory. So we've known each other for a while, and in my opinion, you have both of those. And so I just wondered if you could kind of talk about where you find yourself now, and maybe then we could hear a little bit of the story about how you got there.
Yeah. So I'd say who I serve professionally. Well, I'm in the helping profession as a healthcare professional, as a dietitian. We are of the helping profession, we are the helping professions. So, I like to serve people in general, but definitely have a soft spot for people that I feel are just not getting the care that they really deserve. Professionally, I am serving specifically people who have metabolic syndrome, pre-diabetes, and type 2 diabetes. So really the vast majority of people in the United States could potentially fit into that bucket. But those are the people that I serve, and those are the people that I really feel passionately about helping them live the best quality of life they possibly can, and feel, have the option to actually be free of their illness, rather than having to try to just deal with it by taking more and more medications, the rest of their lives. I feel that is a mission that I can get behind, and one that, I really feel like it drives me every day in my work. So I feel pretty lucky to be able to work where I do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so then, are those folks all over the country, or do you do a lot of virtual kind of consulting and coaching?
It is all virtual, and they are all over the country. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay. So it's also
hopefully all over the world.
Oh wow.
Soon. I mean, probably not, tomorrow,
Yeah.
but hopefully one of these years.
All over the universe.
All over the universe. Yeah.
And then So that's I think a really cool niche. I mean, especially as telemedicine ramps up. I mean, you got into this pre-COVID, and
Yeah.
I don't know if it seems like you then all were poised to kind of scale once people felt more comfortable with telemedicine, or have you noticed any change there with how your offering has been perceived?
Yes, actually, we were we were preparing to scale pretty rapidly in 2020. Um, and of course, just like pretty much every other company, things slowed down significantly as soon as COVID hit. People didn't want to take meetings. They said we'll talk to you in 2021. Um, Bad news, kind of all around. And so we really prepared ourselves to do the best we possibly could with the patients that we currently have and the ones that we were continuing to enroll. Understanding that they were going to have some serious challenges, serious stressors, have a very difficult time potentially finding the groceries that they needed, having budgetary constraints. These were all very real issues. I mean, and the stress is just the anxiety and the stress of making such a significant dietary change. A lot of our patients were just like, I just don't know how I could possibly even think about this right now. So, we had to really get creative and think about how can we serve our patients where they're at right now? How can we be a source of light and positivity for them? How can we support them through potentially the most challenging times they've ever experienced? And it has really brought about a lot of like I said, a lot of creativity. And when you're faced with adversity like that, right, you either have to move forward or you go back, but you're really not going to stand still. So thankfully we've got some really, really amazing leadership that has helped us through this really tough time. And as the importance of and the value of telemedicine has really become much, much more apparent with this pandemic. With so many people that are not able to or not wanting to go and to visit their doctor, the value of continuous remote care that we're able to provide is just something that now we're seeing a lot more growth because of that. And we're trying to expand our offerings as well to people who maybe aren't wanting to make as significant changes, to their diet, but wanting to still really benefit from that continuous remote care. So just trying to get more and more people taken care of is one way that we've been definitely shifting our strategy as well. And we're preparing now for pretty rapid growth, fingers crossed into 2021. And I think that, the value of telemedicine is not going to go away anytime soon. And it's going to just get even more and more necessary. So I think we're in a good spot. Also, the value of blood sugars being under control, right? From what we know about COVID and how it can affect a person metabolically and how it can really not only raise blood sugar, but increase the likelihood of complications when you've got out of control blood sugar. That value has some people, some companies wanting to jump at the opportunity to help protect their employees.
It's like a bigger preventative step.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I think that we're in a good position to be able to try to help more people. Certainly would rather do that without a pandemic, but the pandemic has forced us to have to make some shifts and go with what it is that people need and try to serve the most people that we can.
So you've alluded to a few times talking about the how that you do this. It sounds like there's some coaching and consulting. It sounds like there's some dietary pieces of it. Can you, without giving away any kind of HIPAA stuff, like can you kind of tell us about how you go about this?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have kind of a multiple pronged approach. We primarily use actually. Not really multiple, but I'd say we've got two main strategies for success. And one of them is continuous remote care that we provide our patients. And the other is individualized carbohydrate restriction, which is really the formula for success that our patients are able to actually reduce their diabetes medications. They can actually reduce some other medications too, cholesterol meds, blood pressure meds, pain medicines, anti-inflammatories, all sorts of stuff. And we're able to reduce a lot of those through this individualized carbohydrate reduction. Our goal is to help our patients into a metabolic state called nutritional ketosis through carbohydrate restriction, where they're able to utilize ketone bodies for their primary fuel instead of carbohydrates. And what that does is it does a number of really fascinating things. Physiologically, it helps really curb hunger, and ketone bodies are potent anti-inflammatory molecules. So, we have this lovely side effect of inflammation going down, at an incredible rate. And then of course, when you're not eating a whole lot of carbohydrates, your blood sugar is going to do a whole lot better as well. So there's a lot of benefits to this nutritional approach. And so the way that we deliver this is we deliver it virtually through our app. And so our app has a lot of automation. It has a lot of education that's delivered throughout various points in time. We use the app to really help keep our patients engaged and provide them with a bunch of different resources, how-to guides, recipes, all sorts of stuff. And so the goal of the Virta app, I'd say, is to really help deliver that continuous remote care, but also deliver the educational modules that our patients need to be successful, as well as help deliver engaging messaging to help them, stay engaged. But then the role of the health coach in all of this is to communicate on a pretty regular basis, sometimes multiple times a day with a patient, sometimes just a couple times a week, depending on, what that patient needs. The goal of the health coach is really to just kind of walk alongside each patient and help them kind of bust through different barriers that they're facing. So, the most rewarding part of my job is to really help a patient feel empowered to be able to do this on their own. And then they don't need me anymore. And that's like the best thing. That's the best gift I can give them. So we help them with behavioral changes, with working through different barriers. And our app helps deliver engagement and different resources. And then we also have continuous remote care being delivered by a physician-led team of medical providers. And they are kind of behind the scenes, keeping an eye on all of the different biomarkers that our patients are entering: glucose levels, ketones, blood pressure, weight. And they are making recommendations to our patients for both medication changes, like on a, almost real-time level, as well as if there's any medical concerns that they have, they're able to address those too. So instead of waiting for several months to see your provider in the office, you're getting a same day response from your medical provider, who's your Virta medical provider, and you're also getting same day, oftentimes multiple day messages of support from your health coach. So that's that continuous remote care piece, and then the intervention piece is the individualized carbohydrate restriction. And we say individualized because each person's going to kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Well, they're going to respond to the treatment differently. So we're going to help tweak what they do on an individual basis.
And you mentioned encouragement. I was confused if it was like an electric shock when you did something wrong, or like...
That would definitely be, that would probably be pretty, I don't know what word I'm looking for. I probably shouldn't joke about that.
Yeah.
I bet it's effective. I really do. But no electric shocks, no shame, no, you did it wrong. No, what are you going to do differently? It's, hey, this is what it is to be a human. So let's keep moving forward, and
Cool.
let's talk about how you can maybe make a different choice next time. That's what we do.
One of my favorite comedians, he tells it better than I do, but he makes a joke that when they were young, they were so poor that they didn't have money to buy batteries for their game, their operation game, like that game that everybody had.
Oh yeah,
so that
yeah.
they plugged it into the wall instead. And the way he tells it, you're initially like, oh, why is he even joking about this? And then you think about how much more current that would be, electric current, and then you're like, oh wow, that's really bad.
That's really bad. And probably really effective.
Yeah, so I don't deliver the joke well, but he's pretty funny. So some people might be thinking about this, and I think with any kind of health thing, it's probably hard for many of us to put ourselves in the shoes of people that have different conditions than us, because you're not there. And so is there any story you can tell us of kind of the impact that this has had and how people are able to live better lives?
Oh yeah. Well, first off, if you not to try to plug our website or anything, but hey, I'll plug our website. But if you go to vertahealth.com/blog, actually no, just vertahealth.com, and you're going to see, like, I don't know, it's dozens and dozens of specific patient stories, and from all walks of life. But I will talk to you about someone who's very near and dear to my heart. I will not be, there will be no PHI, protected health information exposed here, no HIPAA violations. But we'll just refer to this gentleman as Jimbo. And that's the first name that came to my mind because that's my father-in-law, but it's not him. Jimbo joined the Virta treatment as one of my patients, I think 4 years ago. Yeah, 4 years ago. He came to us with probably 50 pounds to lose. His A1C, which is a measure of average blood glucose, was 10.5. And anything 6.5 or higher is diagnostic of type 2 diabetes. 10.5 is pretty high and a very dangerous blood sugar level. He also had multiple sclerosis, and was using a walker. His dream was to be able to get a motorcycle one day and ride that motorcycle, among many other dreams. So it was Simon, I think 6 or maybe 9 months into the treatment, and I had a video call with him, and he was, no joke, he was jogging across the room in his living room. He's like, Theresa, look at this. Look at what I'm doing. He was jogging across the room, skipping around, no walker, no cane, no nothing. His multiple sclerosis, while not cured by any stretch, had, the inflammation had gone down so much that he was able to regain so much of his quality of life. His blood sugars had dropped to an A1C of, I believe, in the 5s, which is considered normal. He's maintained that for the last 4 years. And he's been able to lose about 30 pounds or so and keep that off. He got his motorcycle. Nice. And he rode his motorcycle for the first time, I think about a year into the treatment with us. And now he's a convert, and he's just loving life, and he's just enjoying being able to live not on a bunch of pain meds. And again, he can skip. He's not using a walker. And he's just, his quality of life is just really incredible now. And this is not like an outlier. This is a fairly common story that we hear. This one's near and dear to me because he's been my patient for 4 years, and I've been at Virta for 5 years. So, it's been a pretty long time. But yeah, lots of stories that are really similar to that. I think when our patients are able to get that text message from their Virta provider where they say, hey, We want you to completely discontinue your insulin. So many of them just have tears of joy because they just never thought they'd be able to do that. So, yeah. And, the most important thing, everyone wants to lower their blood sugars. Everyone wants to lose weight. Everyone wants to get healthy. Right. But when you really peel back what people are wanting, they're wanting to be able to live the type of life that where they're comfortable in their own skin, and they're able to do the things that they want to do. They're able to see their grandchildren grow up, and their children grow up. We have people in their 20s that have had type 2 diabetes for a decade already, and to be able to have that sort of quality of life change is just pretty special. And it just keeps me going every single day, as well as I'm pretty confident everybody else that works for Virta. So did I answer I feel like, I don't know what I did, but I feel like I went really off tangent.
Oh yeah, the whole time I was thinking that's no, you're good. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I was gonna go just a little bit more macro. So you're talking about these dietary restrictions. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Dietary changes,
yeah.
And I think one of the things that's I've thought about recently and previously too, but and you see it in memes on social media and stuff like that. Just like the vast difference in like amount of sugar and all that stuff in our food in the States versus other countries. I mean, contrast that with, people like the late Steve Jobs, like wearing the same mock turtleneck every day, to take down decision fatigue. And it's just like, sometimes I just feel like the decision fatigue of like what I shouldn't eat and what I should do is just so brutal. Monumental. And is there any tips or kind of principles that you use that make that any simpler?
Yeah, we do try to keep it as simple as possible. With our patients, we give them, to start out with, kind of a list of very simple foods to avoid and foods to eat more of. But in general, I don't think a ketogenic diet is something that everyone should just jump into. In fact, I would actually say that no one should just jump into it. All of our patients are medically supervised, because there is definitely some risk, particularly with patients on certain medications that your blood sugar can drop really low, and we want to be able to monitor you and adjust accordingly. But in general, I'd say if we're talking to the public, the best thing that the public can do is really just cut out as much added sugar as possible, and just stick to foods that are in the the most simple state as you can, trying to avoid this kind of nutrition mindset, which sounds strange coming from a dietitian, but it's something I'm trying to teach. My daughter is this avoiding this nutrition mindset. It's not about all the nutrients. It's about let's focus on real food, whole food, and keeping it truly, truly simple. I think that's really, really the best advice that we can give people, rather than focusing on this omega-3 supplemented, high fiber, low fat, low net carb bar that who the heck knows what that even is. That's not even a food. So sticking to just real food and really trying to limit the added sugar that you consume. Sweet foods in general, I think, is the best advice I could give for the public. Now, we have more specific advice we give for our patients, certainly, and we do our best to kind of cater to what it is that they need. If they only have a microwave, we can work with that. If they're a gourmet chef, they might want to have a little bit more advanced types of recipes. So
okay,
yeah,
that's awesome. And then we mentioned your family before, and Dave. We mentioned Dave because again, you sometimes drink beer, right? Like, even though you're doing all of this keto stuff, like sometimes you might have a beer.
I will have a sip generally. I will try it. I actually haven't drank a whole beer in probably 5 years.
Okay.
I used to be a beer connoisseur, And then when I actually embarked on a ketogenic lifestyle myself, I really just found I couldn't tolerate it. So I will have, probably like a 4-ounce pour or something like that, so that I can enjoy it. And, of course I want to taste the different brews that Dave creates, because he comes up with some really, really amazing and creative stuff. So
cool.
So yeah,
That's
a few
awesome.
Ounces here and there isn't probably going to hurt anything.
Cool. But then there's this whole tension of, professional and family, and kind of the myth of the work-life balance. And then obviously that's hitting everybody different with COVID. So you're at home with a 1-year-old, you all are working. How is that all going?
Well, thankfully, my 1-year-old is at her grandma and grandpa's. We have basically created a circle of trust, and grandma and grandpa, Dave's parents, they are her primary caretakers throughout the week. So Monday through Friday, when I'm working, she's over there, and it is a godsend. They are, how they have stepped up has been absolutely amazing. For about 2 months, she was home with me, during lockdown. And that was definitely a challenge. But the thing is that there are so many of my colleagues that are still doing that now, still have young children at home. And for the short amount of time I was doing it, I was losing my mind. And I know that so many people are in that boat right now, just trying to keep it together. Yeah. So definitely in COVID times, it's been a whole new level of having work and family intersecting. But at Verta, we don't really, we like to avoid using the word or the term work-life balance. And instead we use work-life alignment. You want to make sure that what you love to do is really in alignment with your personal values. So our company values are also in line with your personal values. And then it doesn't feel like, I'm at work now or I'm at home now, but really they intersect because they are so valuable in both ways. I wouldn't say that I take my work home with me, but I feel I just love what I do so much that it is with me kind of all the time. Yeah. That being said, it can bleed over too much, and you can find yourself having a hard time setting boundaries. So it is a bit of you have to check yourself and make sure that you are still, setting some boundaries. And, having a 1-year-old now has forced me into that aggressively, which, is a good thing, I think.
And then we're just to kind of continue here, but kind of complete the formula. We've talked about the who and the how, and then the what. So you're a trained dietitian, I believe.
Yes.
That is your training. And so kind of to start at a really personal level, has this job at Verta that you said you've been doing for about 5 years, is that one of the first times you felt like kind of all the stars aligned and clicked, and you were kind of using your training to do something you were passionate about?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, how I came to Verta is a very, is a story that goes back, about 12 years, I would say, actually, but really it is 100% the first time I felt like everything has aligned, for sure. I did everything I could to try and focus in previous jobs, working in the hospital, working in a diabetes education center, working in outpatient GI. I did everything I could to try and focus on little wins. I would say to Dave, it's just so exhausting because I really just feel like I could serve these people so much better, but it's like I'm not allowed to. I'm up against all of these walls and preventing me from being able to preach what I know to be what's best for them, and I can't. But I would try to focus on, okay, if I can really help them in one small way, then that's good. But, I kind of got tired of that over the years and decided that I wanted to try to take a leap and start my own business. just a small little clinic where I would work with patients to help reduce their carb intake so that they could really utilize food as medicine and hopefully kind of reclaim their quality of life and get off medicines. And I did that I didn't do that. Let me be clear. The plan to do that was to get my certification in diabetes education so that I would be taken seriously and pair up with a local physician or two who wanted to join me in that quest. So that then led me to want to reach out to one of my dietary heroes, Dr. Jeff Volek, who is a registered dietitian and PhD, one of Virta's founders, actually. And I had been following his research for quite a long time and, felt I really needed to kind of get some sort of local support from other dietitians. And if they, they're hungry for research and if they were able to see that presented by someone as well-versed in nutritional research as Dr. Volek, maybe I would get some others that would want to join me in this. So I reached out to him and asked if he would come to Omaha. This was back in 2013 to talk to a room full of dietitians. And I was like, you might have food thrown at you. I'm not sure, but I really think you need to come. And he's like, okay. So I don't know. I must have had a pretty desperate sounding email or something that just, tugged at his heartstrings. But, he came and gave a fantastic talk about carbohydrate restriction for metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, prediabetes. And it just really rocked the world of a lot of the dietitians in the room. I told him, I said, the fact that you're here is a dream come true. And I would just, can I reach out to you if I need some, resources or contacts? And he said, absolutely, reach out, let's stay in touch. And I said, okay, well, it would be an absolute dream if I ever got the chance to work with you in any sort of capacity. And so I thank you so much for doing this and letting me kind of pick your brain. And a year later comes an email that says, hey, Theresa, so I was actually starting my own company. And can you move to Indiana and help us start this clinical trial? And that's where it all started. That was about 5.5 years ago. So I decided, you know what, I got to take this leap and joined him, as well as Dr. Stephen Finney, who's one of the world's leading experts in nutritional ketosis, and our CEO, Sami Inkinen, joined the team and haven't ever looked back. So, it's a combination of me really putting myself out there and also some really great timing, I think. And probably a decent amount of luck that kind of got me here. So.
But I think it's specifically, people that are listening that are either coming right out of school or are looking to start their career or even looking to switch careers. Like, it might be easy to zoom in on the part that you mentioned of somebody emailed you and offered you a job. Like, that might be the thing that is easy to zoom in on. But what I heard also was before that, I think you labeled it putting yourself out there, but you took what might have felt like a risk and reached out to one of your heroes and invited them, into the conversation. Did that feel like a risk at the time?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. He's even told me after that, like, who is this random person in the middle of the country that actually reads my papers and my books? I gotta see what she's all about. And, passion's never been something that's been low for me. So it was a huge risk, but I thought, what do I have to lose? This is what I feel is my calling. I just had no idea it was going to lead to a startup tech company that would then scale rapidly and have a goal of reversing type 2 diabetes in 100 million people. That was not at all on my radar, but I'm sure glad that's how it turned out.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
So obviously when when we look back right now, and again, people listening, they're just like, wow, here's another story of somebody that's just doing what they love, and I wish I could do what I love, and yada, yada, yada. But, if you had to talk to somebody that's more feeling like they're just starting out, and they're going to have, kind of a road that none of us could predict to get where they want to go, what advice would you give them, or what words of encouragement?
Yeah, I would say that it might take a while, but if you're feeling that pull to do something else, like, you really have to honor that. And I think you need to be willing to be brave and to put yourself out there. And what's the worst thing that's going to happen? I'm reading a lot of Brene Brown recently, actually, and she's like, the courage to make yourself heard. Honestly, like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Someone's going to tell you no. So if someone's feeling that pull to do something different, I just say you really need to listen to that and send a few emails. You never know. You might get a reply. I did.
Cool. Are you sure your reply wasn't from like a Santa automatic reply service or something?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
During Christmas time, or? Oh man. We took our little guy Theo to the Santa thing last year, and and in line, I mean, he was just electric, just so excited. And then there's that 90 seconds, as you might know as a parent, between when you step up and it's your turn and when it's done, right? There's like the whole thing culminates in that 90 seconds, and there's much more of your time spent before and after, right? And so he was electric and he was excited. During that 90 seconds, he just screamed and yelled and cried, and no clue why. And so this picture of him just looks like he's miserable. And we're just telling everybody, like, we swear, like, the whole rest of the time, he was really excited. And so I don't know, you always feel like a horrible parent, but like, I thought I was doing a good thing. So.
I'm sure that he'll only have positive memories, right? It's those 90 seconds that 90 seconds of terror, I doubt will be what he remembers. But I haven't had the joy of that quite yet. I was really looking forward to meeting Santa with 80 this year, but we're going to have to wait until 2021, fingers crossed. But I definitely got to witness my niece meeting Santa. Same exact experience.
Yeah.
Same exact experience. Yeah.
And then I think you would still consider yourself a Husker fan. I mean,
I would, yes.
We're so far away from any glory days now that's always like an option people have, I guess, to opt out. But Theo, as he was going to bed last night, my wife said he was chanting "Go Big Red, Go Big Red," and so I texted her back. I said, I feel like we're doing something right.
That's awesome.
Cool. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Simon. This was super fun.
Strip it down.